every Saturday and Sunday, right? So well done, you guys.
Ganggu tak?
Okay, before we start, you guys know something? Most of the students are broke. They don't pay attention. They are so broke, that's why they don't pay attention. But I suppose this is not the case with you guys because most of you guys are full-time students, but full-time part-time student, full-time employment, right? So you guys have money, so you guys are not broke, so please pay attention. Just kidding. Okay, how long do we have? Half an hour, 1 hour? Okay. Okay, as what was mentioned just now, we are from Investment Account Platform or IAP. Is this the first time anyone of you has heard about IAP? Yes. Okay, good. There are three words actually that made up IAP. Of course, obviously investment, and then account, and then platform. Okay. So for the next 30-40 slides, but I won't go into detail with these slides. What we try to do is we try to create awareness on what IAP is all about, and how can you benefit as a person or as a student from investment account platform. Okay, there's a video on IAP. Okay, the last 60 seconds, this is basically what we do. If you guys still don't understand or don't get it, okay, let me move to the next slides. Okay, before we talk about the investment account platform, so it is quite important to know about investment account. Okay, what is investment account? You guys know about Islamic Financial Services Act 2013. It replaces BAFIA. You know, you heard a lot of BAFIA, Banking and Financial Institution Act. Basically, Islamic Financial Services Act 2013, or IFSA, we call it IFSA, among the banking fraternity, recognizes investment accounts as another instrument for Islamic banks to source funds from the public. Okay, some keywords here: Islamic banks and source of funds from the public. Okay, this is basically how Islamic banks can source funds from the public in addition to deposit. Of course, everybody has got savings account, current account, or term deposit with any Islamic banks. So the investment account is a new product that has been introduced by quite a number of Islamic banks to source funds from the public. Okay, so that is what investment account does. Okay, by definition, basically money paid by the investors or depositors for the purpose of investment So if you open an investment account with an Islamic bank, your purpose is for investment, not custody of funds. Okay? Okay, I suppose you guys can do this one. But basically the differences between, or the main differences between investment account and deposit, there are several differences. We divided them by features, types and purpose. As I mentioned just now, you open savings account or current account is for custody of funds. You just want to keep your money before you use it. Okay. For investment account is for investment, purely for investment. Okay. Types, current, savings and fixed deposit. For investment account, restricted and unrestricted, or we call it RA and UA. RA and UA. And then some features, principal guaranteed for deposit. Of course, you know about PIDM. They guarantee our deposit with banks up to 250,000 per deposit per bank. So if you have 500,000 for example, well, that's a lot of money. You are only being guaranteed by PIDM up to 250,000. Okay? Okay, and then there's the element of risk transfer. But for investment account, risk sharing. Funds are pooled, you give deposit to Islamic banks or banks, they use it for many purposes. But if you give, so invest in investment account with any Islamic bank, your funds or the purpose of the funds is being used for a specific purpose. So these are the three differences. Okay. Any questions so far? Okay, now to the next slide. This is just to show you guys familiar with Wadiah, Murabahah, divide our mind. Wadiah means custody, Murabahah means cost and profit sale, cost plus profit sale. Qard means loan. Okay, your deposit is actually being used by the banks, despite the fact that you may not know. As a depositor, you may not know. They are being used for to fund banks financing assets, either personal financing or our mortgage, even business financing. But for investment account, you can choose whether your money goes into PSB financing, for example, or mortgage financing. And under RA is for a specific company. You invest 5,000 or 10,000 or 100,000, that money will go to a specific company. The company must have gotten financing facilities from the bank. For example, 5 million for 3 years, they pay every 3 months. So you want to invest with the bank so that the bank can disburse the money to that company. So this is a new form of investment. Whenever they pay the bank on a monthly basis, for example, you get your principal and also profit. Of course, the profit is much higher than the profits or dividend under savings account. How much you get for your term deposit? 3.5 maybe for 3 months or even a year, higher, a bit higher than that. But for investment account, if you invest under RA available on investment account platform, you stand to get up to as high as 7% or 7.5%. So that's the difference between deposit and investment account. Okay. Any questions? Okay, I move to the next slide. Okay, just a bit of perspective. Investment account outstanding. Okay, you can see that the amount of money that sits in the banking system as at June 2019 is 2 trillion. Your money, our parents' money, our friends' money, our spouses' money, the GLCs, the government and whatnot, all together 2 billion ringgit, the money that sits in the banking system, of which 80 billion is under investment account. Despite the fact that it has only been introduced in 2015, the amount has grown to 80 billion, which is quite a lot. Okay, Islamic deposit 30%, 604 billion, and the rest 1.3 trillion is under normal conventional deposit. So the public has accepted investment account as one of the ways for them to get earn higher return than normal deposit or other investment. So the amount has grown, I said, up to now 80.6 billion, which is quite a lot. Okay. Some of you might wonder, if I were to invest in investment account with Maybank, for example, Bank Islamic, what happens if the bank is under liquidation and the bank is bankrupt? Okay, this is the waterfall under liquidation. The first that gets paid is the creditors of the bank, and then secured creditors. So as investment account holder, you don't have to worry. If your money is in the bank and the investment account, you get paid. You get paid after creditor, which is number 2. Because why? Your money, your investment is tagged against a specific asset, a financing that the bank gives to a company. No depositors, rank lower than investment account holders. Walaupun PIDM guarantee up to 200,000, still you rank lower than, as depositors, they rank lower than investment account holders. Of course, the shareholders of the bank will get paid last. Okay, now we move to investment account platform. So you know about investment account. So what is investment account platform? Okay, we would like to be known as IAP, our investment account platform. Of course, was launched on 17 February 2016 by the former governor, Tan Sri Dr. Zaki Akbar Aziz. So you can see that she witnessed the signing of the setting up of IAP with all the 6 CEOs of the banks. These are our shareholder banks. So we are a private company but owned by 6 Islamic banks. Okay. Point number 1 is the platform is basically to market investment account which benefit investors. You guys can be investors and also entrepreneurs. Okay, via a product called investment account. And number 2, the platform is basically internet based. So we have a website, of course, investment account platform, which is used by multiple banks. And these 6 banks can use us to list the projects or companies which they have given financing to, so that investors can invest in those projects. Okay, in exchange for better return, better dividend. Okay, so now investment account and investment account platform, basically a website-based multi-bank platform that bank use to list projects on the platform, so that investors can go into the website and choose which investment or projects you want to invest in and get better return. Okay. Okay, just to show some corporate structure. As I said just now, we are owned by 6 shareholder banks. So these are the 6 banks. Of course, some of you may have account with one of the 6 banks. They set up a consortium or company called Raid Holdings, and Raid set up investment account platform. So IAP is the owner and operator of investment account platform, owned by the 6 banks. So they hold equal shares in our company. Okay, just to show the process, you know, companies, they need financing, they want to grow the business for working capital, to buy new machineries, or export, for example, they need financing from banks. So what they do, companies, for example, SMEs, they can submit loan application online through the website, or they can go direct to the bank. Okay. So once bank accept the application, of course they will evaluate the financing proposal, and then after they get it approved, for example 5 million or 10 million, then they will go to RAM, Rating Agency of Malaysia, for rating. So RAM will give a rating to the company, and then after rating has been obtained, which is optional rating, then the project or company will be listed on the platform, for example for 30 days, so that investors can view the information and then make a booking online. Okay. This is quite similar to P2P, peer-to-peer platform under Securities Commission or ECF. The difference between P2P and us is our platform is not governed by Securities Commission. It's actually governed by Bank Negara, because the product used is investment account offered by the banks which are regulated by Bank Negara. So it's not under Securities Commission. Okay, next slide. Okay, this is just to show what happened to our money when we deposit our money with the bank. Basically, they invest in financing assets, loan to individuals or loan to companies, and we get very low return, probably as high as 3.5 or slightly below 4% for our term deposit. But under investment account, they give financing, they will invite investors to invest. We can put 1,000, we can put 5,000 or 100,000 for example. And whenever the branches or SMEs pay the bank will make payment to the investors. Okay, assuming that the bank charge investors, example 8%. So whenever they pay the principal plus 8%, the portion of 8%, sometimes 6 or 7, will be given to the crowd or investors. So you stand to earn better return on your investment. Of course, you have to take a risk because this is not custody of fund, this is for investment purposes. What kind of risk are you taking? Basically, the risk of the company not paying the bank. But of course, knowing the bank, they are very conservative. You know, they evaluate the project, they go through the cash flow, they do site visit, they impose terms and conditions so that you know the money will be paid to them. Even they take charge over the property, for example, they get the directors to guarantee, so to make sure that the companies pay the bank on time, so that the bank can then pay the investors. So your investment, although there's a risk, but it is much safer because it is managed by the bank. All collection and whatnot are all done by the banks. So this is a form of alternative investment which is new in the market, which is now available. Okay, so if you think that you would like to take some risk in exchange for higher return, you can invest in investment account either directly with the bank or through investment account platform. Okay. Okay, so what do we do as investment account platform in this triangle? Okay, for the ventures, they can apply for funding online through our platform. They don't have to go to the bank anymore. They can just from your own office go into our website and apply for funding. 1 million, 1 million, 10 million is possible. Okay. And number two, the banks can list the projects on the platform. Okay. And then for the crowd or investors, they can make a booking online. Let's say within the campaign period of 30 days, for example, they can put 1,000 or 100,000 or 50,000. So that's what we do to these three segments or stakeholders, to the SMEs or companies, to the banks, and also to the crowd. Okay. That's what I started.
No question, sir.
I'll continue. Okay, this is just to show campaign period. Let's say like floated ataupun listed on 1st of December. So for example, the campaign period lasts for 30 days. We have a campaign period on our website, of course, whenever there is a listing. So you as an investor, having registered as a user on the platform, you can make a booking. Of course, before you make a booking, you have to read the information that is being listed together with the project. For example, the rating, the cash flow, the accounts and whatnot. You have to be comfortable that this is the risk that you are willing to take. Let's say among the information available is the type of facility that the bank has given to the company. For example, 5 million payable over 3 years. What kind of business? What's the purpose? You can see the cash flow, you can see the past 3 years financial, for example, who are the directors, what's the paid-up capital, everything you are able to know. You can even go to the company and make a site visit yourself, okay, to ascertain that the information is true. If you are satisfied, you can make a booking, 5,000 or 10,000 for example, and then at the expiry of campaign period, the bank will call you and you make payment directly to the bank, not to us, to the bank directly. Basically, you are opening investment account with the bank, IA account with the bank. You don't pay money for us, no. We don't take deposit. Yes, sir.
What is the discount or impairment rate of the refinancing contract of bank?
Sorry, what is that?
What is the discount or impairment rate?
Oh, next slide. Default, right? Okay, so far, to answer your question, so far we have got 13 projects listed on the platform since February 2016. Nampak kan? Dah nampak kena datang depan lah. Okay, the first project or company listed is called Perak Transit. Anybody from Perak? Ada? Semua from overseas? Okay, it's called Perak Transit. Listed by Bank Muamalat, they are involved in transportation business. Return that they give to investors is 6.5%. What, double the FD rate, right? Yeah. Fund required 10 million. Tenure of financial investments 3 years. This is the rating by RAM. Payment is quarterly. Status is performing. Okay. So far, no default yet. Because banks are very conservative. Before they list a project, they will make sure that the company have got a good track record with them, good payment record with them and also other banks. Because this involves reputational risk of the bank. If one project were to default, imagine they list the next project, the investor will not want to put the money anymore with the bank. Because past project, there's a default on past project. So we have helped raise 204 million so far since February 2016, involving 13 projects. So you can see the name of the sponsoring bank, Akila, Bank Muamalat, macam-macam lah. And then the rate, okay, the return, the highest so far is 7.5% per annum, which is only for 6 months. 6 months of investment, you get 7.5% per annum. Berapa dapat ASP? Tabung haji berapa sekarang? Okay, ASP of course is only available to Buka, right? And okay, basically why Bank Negara introduce investment account and of course IAP later on is because they want to educate the public. You want higher return, you have to be prepared to take higher risk. You know, because I suppose tabung haji, ASK and whatnot will not be sustainable for the next, will not be sustainable forever. There will come a day whereby tabung haji or even ASP return will not be effective anymore. Because you know, the government cannot be guaranteeing our deposit forever. We have to take some form of risk. This is what Islamic finance is all about. You want better return, you have to be prepared to take some form of risk. So, this is a part of education by Bank Negara and also Islamic banks. To answer your question, what's the difference? This one, you know where your money goes into. If you are knowledgeable about certain industries, you want to promote, for example, you want to promote certain type of businesses or industries, you can then put your money with the bank so that the bank can invest in those kind of industries. For example, women entrepreneurs. For example, if you are so committed about helping women entrepreneurs, if there are projects listed by women entrepreneurs, for example, then you can invest your money. So, you know where your money goes into. And, of course, the other difference is that this is managed by banks. In the event of default, the bank will do all the recovery actions. So you know there's a party of them, which is the bank, who has a very good network of branches and whatnot that will help to recover the default for you on behalf of investors. So that's among the differences between ASP, for example, tabung haji, and also investment account. Of course, it is not guaranteed. You have to take some form of risk. Okay, our latest listing was on 17th February. September, 2 months ago. The campaign started on 12 midnight. The next morning, 6-7 hours later, it was oversubscribed by 1.5 times. That means they raised 20 million, listed by Bank Muhammadat. The booking that we received was more than 30 million. So people, investors out there who know about this, of course not many people know about investment platform yet, but those who know, they make a booking despite the fact that it has already been fully booked up to 20 million. Still some people want to try their luck and still make a booking. So it was oversubscribed by 1.5 times within the first 12 hours. So the project is called Anran. Anran is basically pawnbroking based on Islamic concept. This is one of the more popular listing of projects on IAP so far. The first Anran was listed in September 2017. All Anran projects by Bank Muhammadat were all fully subscribed, were all fully booked. So it is as I said, one of the more popular ones. They raised 20 million. This one 20 million. Second one 20 million. Third one also 20 million. Investment is only for 6 months to 1 year. Okay, I'm not going to bore you with the contract Mudarabah and also Wakalah. Basically, Mudarabah is profit sharing. You invest with the bank, invest with the bank. The profit that is paid to the bank will share with you. And the profit sharing contract. Wakalah, you give the money to the bank and the investment account. You appoint the bank as an agent. The bank will invest in the company that they have legal financing to. So basically, those are the two differences between Mudarabah and also Wakalah contract. You don't have to worry about this. Okay, example I gave is 8%. The returns are paid by the bank, by the venture selling to the bank, and then the bank probably takes 0.8% and they give you 7.2%. So if you think that 7.2 for 2 years is attractive enough, then you can invest. Okay, you might be wondering what are some of the value proposition or why would companies raise fund on IP? They can just go to the bank. You know, the world doesn't have to know about their companies. You know, they can keep their information to themselves or just to a few people in the bank. This is a new way of funding. Basically, involve crowdfunding. You know, crowdfunding now is a buzzword. Okay. Number one is, as I mentioned just now, they can apply online, only one-time application. They can get access to 6 or 7 banks with one application. Tak payah pergi. Don't have to go to individual banks anymore. You know, sometimes they don't know who to go to. They go to the branch, but branch pass them around. You know, you don't get to see the right people. So with IAP, they can just go to the bank. Go to our website, apply online. We give them access to 6 to 7 banks. And number 2, media profiling, because the bank would like to get fund from investors, from you and me, from the public. Of course, they have to make this company known to the public, either by a signing ceremony or news in the newspaper, for example. The company will get some form of exposure to the public. Sometimes the bank will market to their high net worth investors or clients. And these high net worth clients are sometimes directors of big companies. So these directors or owners of company will get to know about these small SMEs that is raising funds through the bank via IAP. So sometimes when this company bid for a project with those companies who the directors have also invested in their companies, of course they will have an advantage, because these directors who make decisions for the company will know about these SMEs. And number 3, no direction in ownership, because investment is not in the form of it's not in that form. It's not you invest, you don't get shares. You only invest through a product called investment account. So you have no control as an investor in the affairs of the company. So the company can maintain control. And then of course, certainty of funding, unlike P2P, for example, if you know about P2P, If they want to raise 5 million, investors only put in 2 million or 3 million, that's it. Whether you can move forward with 3 million or 2 million is up to you as a business owner. But for IAP, the bank will normally top up the difference. Investors put in only 2 million, bank top up the remaining 3 million. So then they can move forward with whatever purpose that they come to the bank to. And of course, if they opt for rating, you know, rating that RAN gives is normally for suku or bond issuance. So rating that is given to SMEs can be used as testament of their financial standing. They go for tenders for government project, for example, or private sector project. At least they can show that they can be rated by RAN. Whatever the rating is, for example, A3 or the double B, for example, at least a rating agency have rated their company, which is not normal for SMEs out there. Okay, remember I mentioned about profiling the public. Yeah, this is Perak Currency, 10 million attended by the CEOs and chairman of the bank, Dato Reza. He's just retired from the Muamalat. This is Tan Sri Mulia Majid, the chairman of the Muamalat. They come for the signing ceremony, even for a 10 million financing, which is not normal in the banking industry. Normally it's for big loan, big syndication, 500 million, for example, only the CEOs and chairman come for the ceremony. But for IAP, we get to see that. Even attended by the former Deputy Finance Minister. So you can see, when the bank lists the project, they want the public to know about the project. So they invite all the VIPs or the CEOs of the bank. Okay, this is by Afid Islami. This is the CEO, Nazli Khalifah. They have a signing ceremony at Bank Negara. This is the current Deputy Governor. Current Deputy Governor of Bank Negara. He attended the signing ceremony with a company called ICT Zone. Yeah, ICT Zone Venture. So companies get a lot of profiling when they raise financing via IP. This is a company called CMC Group. This is chairman of Bank Islam. They had a signing ceremony for 12 million financing. This is now the CEO of Bank Muamalat. Previously, in the picture, he was the deputy CEO of Bank Islam. So this company get profiling, as I said just now. This is RHB, a new bank that joined us because they want to list projects on the platform. Okay, as an investor, basically what are you investing in? Okay. We all know that banks, basically take deposit from us, and then they use our deposit to give financing to retail, for loan, for personal use, for purchase of cars and whatnot, and also to companies. So basically, investors will invest in the financing asset of the bank. Okay, do we know how much is the NPL rate, non-performing loan rate of Malaysian bank? Do you guys know? 1.5%. That means for every 100 ringgit that the bank give, only 1.5% or RM50 lah, $1.50 is not paid. So imagine the monitoring that the bank does. So basically, you are investing in quite a safer assets, safer classes of assets. We know in the market there are many types of investment: money market or deposit, which take very low risk, which have very low risk and also low return. Higher than that, maybe you invest in fixed income, like suku or bond. Fixed income, not suku income, or fixed income. And then real estate to get more a better return, or even the stock equities, which give higher return, but you have to take more risk. So investment comes sits in between fixed income and probably real estate. 6-7% you can still get under investment account through the platform. Again, investment is tagged against bank's core business. This is a bank for business family, which is financing to businesses or individuals, which is priced against above the cost of fund, and of course robust screening process, account management and collection process. Of course, we know that the bank I work in a bank for 15 years. SMEs, corporate, whatnot. Whenever that a company does not pay a bank, they say that they miss one payment, one monthly payment, they will be put under watch list. That means the account manager will have to call the directors or finance manager, cik bila nak bayar ni, dah 3 hari or 4 days overdue. They will keep calling the customer till the customer pay. You move into 2 months, there's another list. I can't remember what it is, macam-macam lah. And then, you know, the constant monitor on the bank. So, basically investment on IAP through RA is quite safe because banks, of course, banks cannot guarantee that, you know, you will get your full principal and whatnot, but the process that they have is very detailed. I mean, they really monitor the accounts. Even they have what we call it, annual review, whether the 5-year loan is still can still be extended or not, despite the fact that, you know, you sign contract for 5 years, but after 12 months they still do a review on you. They still go for service, they ask for your accounts, whatnot. So monitoring by bank is very, very detailed. So as an investor, you are investing in that core business of the bank. Ada any question? Yes. Tak ada. Ada. Oh ya ya. Okay.
This is for the previous slide, the one that by the proposition yang rating. I want to ask for ratings.
Okay.
Ratings. Now ratings, you mentioned that if you have a real rating, whatever the rating, you have some credential or merit for the company.
Yeah.
What is that is for financial standing? How about the ones that you mentioned is media, attention, all those non-financial ratings?
Okay.
Do you have alternative ratings other than financial? But I mean, some companies they might be financially bad, but they have other potentials.
Okay.
Especially macam fintech company, they are not as popular, probably not so financially stable because of their passive investment, but they have other potential. How would you rate their accounts?
Okay. Normally, okay. This is basically the companies that get financing for IAP, for the banks listed on IAP are those companies that can pass the bank's credit evaluation. Of course, not all companies will pass the bank credit evaluation. Normally, bank will give financing only to those companies that have been profitable at least 2 years out of the last 3 years, have good payment record, and involved in industry that the bank will still want to give financing to. And there are some industry that the bank will not give financing to. For example, some banks do not want to give financing to oil and gas industry. For example, some banks are still like that. Some banks give financing more towards plantation, for example, if the CPO price is okay. Some banks concentrate on property. It depends on the bank. But not all companies will pass the credit on the bank. Even then, the rating, when given by bank, is basically to show the investors whether they can pay or not. The bank blew up the financing tenor, and whether the payment is timely. Katalah they have to pay on 1st of every month. If the payment comes on the 5th, it is not timely payment. They still pay payment but still late. So the rating is basically on the probability of default, whether they can pay or not, the bank. Again, depend on the purpose. Kalau purpose is for contract financing, of course we have cash flow and the contract order. So maybe you will not be mixed with other business of the company. So maybe the rating is better or higher for that particular company because the purpose is for contract financing as opposed to normal working capital. Maybe the financing is not good, it's not highly profitable, but if the bank can identify the source of payment, then the rating can be higher. Going start on bank stuff. Okay. Okay, this is on the rating. This is the rating given ada AAA, AA, triple B or whatnot. So A, of course, better credit rating. D is of course they will not be able to make payment basically. So if you see a rating of single A, for example, it means adequate safety for payment of capital and expected return. So as an investor, you see a single A, that means adequate lah, safety is adequate lah for you to receive your principal and also the returns. Okay, before you invest, as a first time investor, you will need to undertake a suitability assessment, some question lah, similar to question that you answer before you invest in trust product. You know, the agent will give you some question. This is quite similar. The reason is to group you into what kind of investor you are in terms of your risk appetite. If you are very risk averse, you will be most likely you will be categorized as capital protected type of investor. That means you will not want to lose your capital. If you take more risk, you of course you can be categorized as aggressive or moderate. Let's say if you are moderate, you are recommended to invest only in this type of rating. Okay. This is of course to protect the investors. You know, sometimes you don't want to take risk, but then you invest in lower rated deals. So the bank don't want you to lose your money because you know you will come back to the bank later saying that you don't advise us. You know, I'm conservative, but you allow me to invest in lower rated deals. This is just okay. I have my CEO now, Joanne. I'll pass to her probably to talk about the next slide because I'm not.
Okay.
Thank you. Next question. Oh, okay, yes.
Okay, my question is,
Hello.
My question is actually, I believe this is one of the platform on the channel to investor or the opportunity to buy the asset.
Invest.
To invest and get the more profit.
Yeah.
So how much the charges will absorb from the investor? Because you are in between investor and the bank. Okay. How much the fees will absorb from investor side?
Okay, sure.
I get my hand. See.
Any withdrawal, to the other, if I invest the yesterday, I invest 1 million. Okay. So I okay. And then how much charges will absorb from my
Investment.
Okay.
And then how any charges for withdrawal?
Okay, good question. First of all, Assalamualaikum everyone. I had problems getting Grab, so despite the technology, we still have issues with these things. So later on we'll have more interactive. Let me just answer that question. So that's a good question. Our charge is only 0.2%. It's not 2%, but 0.2%. So it's like 20% of 1%. So it's 0.2%. So it's very minimal. And it's not the investor carrying it, it's the venture itself. So it's all part of the costing. So to the investor, that's not a cost. We do not have, for now, we are unable to withdraw midstream. So you either wait for the payment of your monthly or quarterly returns, principal plus profit. It depends on what contract you entered because it depends on the project itself. Some pay off monthly, some pay off quarterly, some is hold to maturity. So if it is that, you cannot do any other way. So you have to follow it. So that's how it works. For now, there is no secondary market, but eventually, as MBA students, this is something that you might want to think of. Even in the capital market side, for the ones that raised peer-to-peer and equity, this is a struggle that's happening now. It's developing a secondary market. And for those who don't know what that is, a secondary market is where you trade after you initially purchase. So the equity space in the SC side for equity crowdfunding still has that problem, or shall I say has that challenge, and probably waiting for people like you to solve this. We are in the midst of trying to see how that can be established on the technology, on the commercialization and the like. So in IAP, we also do not have that just yet. Within the banks, they're trying to develop that, meaning if you want to give up your rights to future profits and sell it back at that point in time, some banks are thinking of being able to do that within their own selves. But within the platform itself, our vision is to be able to have a secondary market down the road. So that's something that you might want to look into. Okay? So just so I know how to spin the conversation, all our MBA students, right? Who are working and who are not. So let's see who's working. Higher. So most are working. That's why I'm here on a Saturday. So most are working. Alhamdulillah. I was a full-time student, but I was working also during my doctorate and my MBA as well. So I know it's not easy. So, but it will pay off. Who are in the area of finance and banking? Not a lot. Public service? Okay. Manufacturing? Okay. Where is the rest?
IT.
IT. Okay. Who is in IT? All right. Okay. So, as Musamir has been explaining to you, we are building an ecosystem basically that is in the IT space, that is also in banking and finance, that is also in the trending crowdfunding right now, that is financing different kind of industries in manufacturing, in service, in transportation. So it basically is applicable to all of you more or less. And for those that are looking for jobs, that are in the job market, technology and this alternative source of funding or crowd fundraising is where to be. Whether it's in the marketing, in digital marketing, or whether it's in sales, or whether it's in the design, I mean, this is very timely. So this case is something that I think is a good example for everyone. Okay? So basically, our value proposition to the whole ecosystem that we are creating is, first and foremost, I think the most important to me is that six competing banks that are supposed to be competitive to each other decided that for Malaysia's sake, they will all sit down and collaborate and see how they can develop into the digital space. So it's a small company, IAP or RAI, which is the parent, relative to the Maybank, relative to the Bank Islam, but they all sit together to see how this can be. It's sort of experimental in a way, but how this can be brought into another level. So the IAP initiative for me, most of all, promotes a collaborative environment within the current stakeholders of the group. So what we wanted to do is basically to have increased efficiency in the mobilization of funds. And particularly in Malaysia, we are targeting the SMEs because a big chunk or the big muscles of the Malaysian economy is reliant on the SMEs. I don't know if we've shared that slide already, but you'll see some numbers later on the SME market in Malaysia. And apart from this, we also provide something quite unique, which is the suitability assessment that basically filters the investors and match them up with the whole, where's the clicker? Yeah. So, which matches them up with the whole process. How do you work this, sorry? This is plus, yeah. Uh-oh. I did something wrong. Alright, so we're in the ecosystem already. So for those, I don't want to bore you with the Islamic finance bit because if you are not studying Islamic finance, it will be quite confusing. But basically right now, for those that I believe that it's an elective year, so it's something that people might want to look into. There's 3 subjects, I believe. It's sukuk, takaful, and capital markets. So we're sort of a sukuk, but not really. But I believe that, of course, if they choose that, they're giving foundations on Islamic finance, right, on the contracts and everything else. So, just in a nutshell, for those that are not exposed to Islamic finance, it's for everyone. It's not for just Muslims or practice taxing Muslims for that matter. It's basically a way of constructing contracts that's quite very old. They follow the way of constructing contracts, whether it's endowment, whether it's donation, wakaf, whether it's partnership, whether it's agency, whether it's whatever form that you are familiar with in the contemporary space. This has been done long time ago. So they follow that various tenets to be able to say that this is something Sharia compliant. Okay, so that's the buzzword, Sharia compliant. They follow the rules from the past, from 1,400 years of transaction. But fundamentally, it's the same in the contemporary space. What it guarantees or what it tries to do is that all parties are protected, that the whole transaction is just. So to be able to do that, more or less, they follow these kinds of little rules. And I encourage you to look into it as well, because Malaysia is the center of Islamic finance, and around the world, the demand for the professionals around this is quite high, and the people, experts are very little. And that's why I'm where I am standing right now. I come from the Silicon Valley. My doctorate and my PhD is not in Islamic finance, but I decided to take my second master's, and immediately after I finished, a startup hired me, and then eventually Bank Negara wanted me to help out with IAP. So it's a very highly specialized area where there is a lack of practitioners, because you are all working, and if you enhance that with a bit of Islamic finance, you become very marketable. So that is that space. And in Islamic finance now, the trend is you marry it with technology. So for the tech guys, it's quite a big combination and quite powerful combination. And that's the reason why, as I've said, I've become where I am. If I did not take Islamic finance, I don't think I would be in front of you right now and having this opportunity, alhamdulillah. So that is a bit of Islamic finance. So, and the reason I say that is because in the whole landscape of Islamic finance, we have mixed banking expertise, which Zamir has been explaining to you all this time, financial technologies, which is being online, and the crowdfunding bit. So we feel that that is really joining the crux of Islamic finance. And that's why right now we are talking to various ministries, including the Ministry of Housing, and of course the Ministry of Finance, to see how we can come up with economic models to be able to use the platform, this whole idea, to be able to finance the various areas in Malaysia right now that is needing financing. The beauty about crowdfunding is that people like us, the retail people, together with the corporates, the likes of your various corporations that have excess cash, and GLCs that have excess cash, can all pool their money together for one common cause, and that's the particular project that you choose. Right now, our challenge is to come up with more projects that will be listed at the IAP. We finance everything fully, but we don't have enough for everyone to put money into. I want it to have like our goal as a team is to have at least 3 listings of various risk categories, of various industry profiles, so that the investors can choose which one they want. It's quite a challenge to be at that rate right now, but we are trying and seeing how we can do this, and one of which is actually being creative with the actual product itself. So we are trying 4 or 5 products right now and talking to various banks. Earlier on, I was telling you about the SME bit. So just to give you a little idea, a summary of what we are looking at in Malaysia, about 99% of the establishments in Malaysia are SMEs, and 66% of the workforce, meaning all of the workforce, are employed by these people, and contributes to almost 40% of the GDP. However, right now, only 27% are able to access banking products. So that's there's quite a gap. So then you have your capital markets, you have your SC doing the peer-to-peer and equity crowdfunding, but they are just also learning. It's an infant initiative right now because it's only 2016 when they started doing this. And none of the equity crowdfunding company has exited until very recently. That means the investors' money is still stuck there. So, I mean, there's still a lot of development that needs to happen, and it has to be a joint effort between the capital markets and Bank Negara, where the banks report them, yeah? So, these are the products I'm telling you. Muzamir already showed you the example earlier on, I suppose. So the two contracts that's coming out are both, the signatories are the bank, not us. We're a facilitator. So the financing contract to the venture and the investment contract to the investors or the crowd. So this triangle you will see all the time in the 2 or 3 models that we've come up with. This is the typical structure that we have. Now we are encouraging the banks to even participate in investment as well as part of the crowd, or they can syndicate as banks themselves. Really just quickly, just to show you the changes in, okay, structure 2 is basically banks will be able to list third-party assets. So even if they are not an IAP bank, they'll be able to fundraise with the help of another bank. This is a hybrid where we will mix a unit trust with the IAP product, the IA product. And this is one of the, I think, the best one because we can be creative here in a lot of ways. So the triangle is still the same, but as I've told you, one of the issues that we have is getting listings or getting projects into the platform. And one reason, and the fundamental reason, is the banks are rejecting them because they are either they are not bankable or they are not creditworthy. So and that's something that needs to be addressed. We cannot force the banks to be able to approve these because they are using depositors' money, or they are at least in that still mentality that they cannot take more risks than the typical. But that means also that we're going to get stuck with 27% of the people only having banking facilities. So 70%, a big chunk, still cannot. So how do we mitigate that? We then will put in, outside of the triangle, a fund to be a risk mitigation mechanism, either as an investor themselves, where they will say, okay, the crowd, I will be the last one to get paid, you guys get paid, I carry most of the risk. So this is something that will lessen the risk on the rest of the crowd, and that entity, whether it's a government agency, whether it's a ministry, whether it's a GLC, whether it's a corporation that's willing to promote a certain industry or a certain group of people, will take most of the load to allow banks to approve and or to allow the crowd to have less risk. So this is very versatile in terms of a model. As I've explained, it can be anything, the product can be anything, the participants can be anyone. We are hoping to see and pilot this very, very soon because most of our banks now are looking into promoting environment, promoting people, promoting the welfare of other stakeholders. So this is a way of piloting something in a speedy way, where you don't have to come up and overhaul a big system. So they can come in anytime and utilize the platform. So that is, I think, it, right? So we will be open for questions, which is my most favorite part of the program. But if there's any slide that you have to take a picture of, it's going to be this. Because this is where you can help us promote education, tell your family, tell your friends, either through Facebook, either through Twitter, or going into the platform itself, and LinkedIn also. And educate and share the knowledge, because a big challenge is still on the education bit. Educating investors, educating people on how to fundraise, and educating people how to take risk that is applicable to them and to accept risk. So this is a learning curve for everyone, and to be able to help that, we have to educate, and that's why we're here. Okay. So, yes, sir.
First of all, my name is Azwan. It's an honor for me and for us to have you here to share the knowledge and especially about the text. Maybe your black
The staff is here, and so they took time out to be here. And this is, as I've said, how shall I say? It's not just a job. It's more like a movement that we're trying to do. So it's easier to do things and give up personal time because it's close to our hearts what we do. Go ahead.
So I have two simple questions. First is the companies that IAP invest. Is it only Malaysian companies or you have non-Malaysian based companies? It's for the companies and also for the investors. Is it only Malaysian can invest or non-Malaysian can invest in the property? The second question, just to share, currently I'm working with that.
Okay, yes.
So at that we have a department which is focusing on fintech. We have a hub in which we call it Orbit, on the digital fintech hub. So maybe I'm not sure whether IAP has already engaged with that or not. But if you have not yet engaged, then I would like to propose we can discuss something.
Sure.
And set one of my posts.
Yes, so I will answer that in reverse. I'll answer the last question first. We've been to Orbit several times. We've shared in the pitching session there as well for the people that are needing fundraising. But it has to be repetitive. It cannot be just one. So establishing a relationship with them, facilitated by you, would be a blessing. So inshallah we can do it. And then also, of course, is championing the Islamic digital economy. So this sits very well there. There is never enough people, there is never enough effort. So everyone's effort is welcomed and appreciated because we are up against a mentality of something that has lived for 200 years in terms of deposit and easy money and all of these things. We need to constantly, and it will be a long time before everyone gets accustomed to taking risk and having that investment mentality. So we will do over and over, and given the opportunity, of course, inshallah, we will take that as a blessing. Secondly, in terms of the foreign market, we have invested in the crowd has invested in a railroad in Cambodia, if I'm not mistaken. Vietnam. I always get confused with the two countries. Okay, so in Vietnam, that was a Berhad here. So because of the underwriting criteria, we are limited to the Malaysian companies, but can be having business abroad. So that is the current setup. As for the investors from abroad, we are working on welcoming that. That is actually phase 2. It's actually a very good market abroad because of the interest rates that are happening there, as you know. So investing your money in Japan, where it's negative interest rate, into Malaysia, where we offer 7-8%, is a good thing. However, of course, the bottleneck and the critical path that we have to unlock is still the projects. We are lacking projects that are either viable or are worthy of the crowdfunding to be offered in IAP. So we are working on doing the foreign monies coming in.
My question is, I'm quite interested. What do IAP to make it money more? Because you are a common channel in between investor and the company, laidback. Right. So my question is, I'm an investor, okay, and then your value propositions, okay, this is advice from you on this is my my own decision to put my asset allocations, how the sector can make money more instead of you just do the platform. Okay, IAP is platform, is it? Okay, and then first of all, you must enter sign up the opening account, investment account, IAP, is it? Right?
You have to register as a user.
Register first. Then the my value proposition you should start. This is my own decision or your advice.
Okay, so the question is, do we do financial advisory? The answer is no.
Yes. And then do you have a fund fact sheet or the prospectus to us as investor in your website to everything?
Yes.
And then do you report directly to the negara or the security commission?
Okay, good. So we do not do financial advisory. We, however, provide the prospectus that you're asking for all of the projects and everything that's there. And if there are any questions, or if you want to even talk to the venture themselves, the bank can facilitate that if it's practical. In terms of the reporting, because it is a banking product, the investment account itself, it is monitored by Bank Negara directly. The investment account is a banking product, so the banks that is holding the investment product, whether it's Bank Islam or Maybank, is directly monitored by Bank Negara.
So that means the fund manager is a bank. Is it fund manager?
They are not a fund manager, they are a facilitator. There's no one managing the fund, and it's not a fund, it is a project, direct project investment. So yeah, I think it's best, and hopefully that at the end of this talk, you can sign up, because by doing so, of course that increases our crowd, but also you are able to, is this question? Oh, I love it. Okay, you choose for me. Why is there a purple one? Is that flagged very urgent? Wow. Okay, so I will eeny, meeny, miny, mo. How Islamic finance make themselves attractive to fintech? Actually, it is a good marriage, because with Islamic finance, as I briefly explained to you, it is really about being vested. Okay, it is really about the money, the holder of the money, which is a means of exchange, the money that is given to you. You take full responsibility for it, and you choose where it goes, you take the risk, and you profit from it as well. And with the utility of fintech, meaning with fintech being there, it becomes very easy because it's in your phone. You want to do it now, you want to do it later, after we go out, you can do. So the marriage of Islamic finance and fintech is actually an amazing combination, because it's almost the same value proposition of empowering the owner of the money to be responsible and to be proactive and to be vested in wherever that goes. You don't simply put it somewhere and then it grows. We want people, or Islamic finance propagates that you be able to take full responsibility of your money, profit from it by taking the risk, and encouraging you to make a lot of money so that you can give back to charity, and so that you can rotate an ecosystem over and over again. So that's the beautiful marriage of Islamic finance and fintech. Okay, so there's a lot of questions around that same thing. Can fintech bridge the solutions gap in Islamic finance? Yes. All of this Islamic finance and fintech thing opens a lot of opportunities for everyone, because of the similar value propositions. The tools that the financial technologies offer, by being in very remote, by being very agile, by being very easy, being very portable, being very accessible, promotes the same tenets of democratizing everything and having the people have power to do what is good, and make the decision to do what is good, and not just giving a few to run the economy. It's really, it's quite a good combination. Okay, yeah, so that seems to be a lot of questions around the two.
Scroll down.
Scroll down. Okay, wow. Okay. When do entrepreneurs prefer? See, whoever wrote this, I'm not gonna say your name to embarrass you, is in pink. So I can see it compared to the rest because my eyes are not as good anymore. When do entrepreneurs prefer Islamic banking finance over conventional traditional finance? This is an amazing question because just to share with you, Maybank is the biggest bank in Malaysia, as you know. And I think it was last year or 2 years ago where the Islamic banking became majority. It crossed the 50% mark, but majority of the Islamic finance, Islamic banking products was used by non-Muslims. So I think that's a good answer to your question. When people really understand, I think, this is my personal opinion now, what real Islamic finance is and really understand what it's promoting, it is a good vehicle to A, mitigate your risk, B, really promote whatever is important to you. It normally, and it should be, something that is good for the planet, something good for the people, something good for the environment. So with that, that's when people prefer Islamic finance. In the past, it was more difficult to do Islamic finance because there's more contract signing, I think. And not a lot of people were knowledgeable about it. So a few experts charged a lot of money to give an opinion on Islamic finance. So then the cost was very high and all of these things. But now more people, and that's why I encourage people to study it, are there. And it is now being more mainstream. More people are knowing about it, cost is less, education is more, and if we keep that trajectory, I think it will continue to grow, and as you understand it more and exposed to it more, I don't know any reason why you will not choose that option, even if you're a non-Muslim or even if you're not practicing Muslim. Okay? So, yes. Good morning.
Good morning. I have one question regarding the return. Whether the return actually is taxable or there are actually fee of tax. Because when we actually invest on stock market, we are actually, when we get the capital gain, we didn't need to pay any tax. Because when we buy and sell, we already pay the tax. But for this IAP return, do we actually
I believe the answer is yes. We are, the answer is yes. However, we are in the midst of seeing what type of tax concession we can give to both the investor and the venture. Right now, we are exploring that to encourage people to be part of it. It's not yet something that's instituted, but we are looking into seeing how we can relax that bit on either taxation or fees. So if you still have a question here that hasn't been answered, please just ask me now. Okay, so we have our contacts here. If by chance you have anything specific to investment account, specific to the platform itself, specific to financial technology or whatever, drop a line. Let us know and we'll try to answer them even after this. I would always say, because we are in the midst of sharing this with other countries, because they might want to copy this model in other countries, so we are talking to several sovereigns right now. But fundamentally, this is a Malaysian product that was encouraged by Bank Negara to promote many, many things, whether it's in Islamic finance, whether it's in educating people on taking risk, whether it's the mobility of finance funds, but ultimately it's a Malaysian product. So whether you're going to contribute to this in the future or make something like this in the future, this belongs to the Malaysians. So you own it, know about it, share, and inshallah it's something that can help others also. Okay? Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Thank you, Dr. Joanne and also Cik Zamir for sharing their insights. I hope you have learned something or gained new knowledge from here. I think you have more questions. I'm not sure why you are not asking those questions. Anyway, they are still here for networking. You can individually talk to them and then mingle with them, ask questions, even outside the topic that they have presented. They are more than willing to talk to all of you because we had a great session in Bani. They had a really good networking session with all the students. So feel free to network with all of IAP members. I would like to thank personally for the breakfast, for the informative talk.